All right, we are live. This is Real Life Talk. My name's Timothy Earle. I am the co-host with Heidi Love, who is in the process of getting to where the Wi-Fi is solid, and she will join us here momentarily. So in the meantime, I'd like to just let you all know a little bit about Love Coach Academy, which we are affiliated with. And Love Coach Academy is an organization that has been started by Scott Katamas, and it not only offers classes on compassionate communication, empathy, and a host of other things for couples and individuals to improve their relationships, but it does also certify certain people to be love coaches. And there's a whole group of us. You can find us at lovecoachacademy.com. And there's a way to reach out and find out if one of us has the specialty or expertise to work with whatever it is that you're wanting to expand or grow in your life. There's also at lovecoachacademy.com videos from real life talk, or what we were called before, recovery talk. And if you go all the way back, Heidi and I cover a lot of topics such as codependency, boundaries, sexual addiction, recovery, all kinds of things. And then recently we changed the name to Real Life Talk in order to just be able to cover broader topics, which today we're covering what is a hell yes, and why is that something we want to know about, and how do we determine whether something is a hell yes as opposed to just a yes or a maybe or a no. And we're going to get into that once Heidi gets here. If you look at the bottom of your screen, you're going to see my website scrolling across the bottom now. If you'd like to get a hold of myself or Heidi, our websites will scroll across the bottom, and it's simple as Googling timothyearle.com or heidilove.com and getting our email or our phone number and messaging us or sending us an email that lets us know that you'd like to do what's called an exploratory session. That's about 20 to 30 minutes where we'll listen to what it is that you would like to expand or improve or shift in your life. And then we'll spend the last part of the call letting you know how our services work and whether or not we think we would be a good fit for you. We both like doing exploratory free sessions, and we request that you're serious about wanting to actually do some coaching. So that said, you'll see our website scroll across the bottom during this call, and feel free to write them down or message us. The other thing that you can message us about is if you'd like to be on Recovery Talk or Real Life Talk. We often have guests, and we have interviewed people and spoken with people about grief or addiction or cancer recovery, or relationship stuff and suicide. So we'd be glad to tailor the talk to whatever it is that you would like to speak about. You could get some free coaching or just be an expert. If you feel like you're an expert in the field, reach out to Heidi Love or Timothy Earle, and we'll interview you and see if you're a good fit for the show. We're also on Facebook Live, and so if you would like to participate today, just send a hello or a chat in the Facebook Live broadcast. I can see today here on StreamYard we've got Kelly Bird Green and Chantal Emery. Thank you for joining us today. And when Heidi gets on, she usually monitors the Facebook Live thread. You'll see her look down, and she'll answer those questions. I think while we're waiting for her, I'd like to tell a little story about where I first encountered a somatic workshop that was designed to help us discover our hell yes. So it's a little bit of a long story, but I think it'll be good until Heidi gets here. It was at Burning Man, and I was a camp member of a beautiful camp named Camp Naked Heart, which is one of 3 camps that make up Camp Asahana Village, which include Camp Contact, Naked Heart, and D Central. Beautiful camp, well situated. Here comes Heidi. And I guess I'll pause and we'll see if she gets on. Here she is, Heidi Love.
Hello, sorry I'm so late. Can you guys hear me?
Okay, perfect timing. I was about to launch into a story about hell yes. And so far I've covered that we both like doing exploratory calls with clients that are serious about getting some coaching, and that our websites will scroll across the bottom. I did a little bit about Love Coach Academy, how you can find all of our videos there, what Love Coach Academy is, and that we're both members. Your face is frozen. And I explained that we used to be called Recovery Talk. Now we're called Real Life Talk. Still waiting for you to unfreeze. Can you hear us? Can we hear you? Okay, maybe I am going to tell that story after all while Heidi realigns her technical things. So at Burning Man, at Camp Asahana, I'm saying it wrong, Village, I had the privilege of being in a workshop called The Craziest Thing You'll Ever Do at Burning Man. I'm very drawn to extremes. And so when I heard the craziest thing you'll ever do at Burning Man, I decided I would join this workshop. And what it was facilitated by David Braun. And we were outside. I'm just going to keep rolling with this story, Heidi, while you get your thing situated, because you're still frozen image. There were about, I'd say 40 of us that gathered underneath what looked like a monkey gym, a dome monkey gym structure outside. And David said, this is a workshop about discovering your hell yes and your hell no. And anything in between is a no. And still can't hear you. And so he started out by saying, at any time, you can leave this. Oh, now that I think about it, should I tell this story? I can't remember if we were told to keep this confidential. One second. Like, some workshops don't want the processes used in the workshop to be disclosed. How do I tell this? Yeah, I don't think I should give it away. It's such a great workshop, and some of you may go to Burning Man and you may participate in this workshop, which is not run every year. Our audience is so small, I'm wondering if I should tell it or not. Heidi, I don't know if you can hear me, but I can't hear you. I think she can hear me. She's going to nod if she can hear me, and her image is still freezing. I'm going to go ahead and tell the story. David Braun, please excuse me if I'm... Oh, wait. She's back. She's here.
Oh my God.
I think you're good now. I can hear you now.
You can hear me now?
Yeah, you're not freezing. You're kind of slowish motion, but it's okay.
Okay. Shara says she wants to hear the story. I'm so sorry, you guys.
Okay.
Technical difficulties are difficulties.
So we're out there. There's 40 of us circled up underneath this gym, monkey bars, and the wind is nice. It's a nice day. There's a piece of visqueen on the ground next to us and some buckets. And David says, at any time, if you want out of this workshop, you just say, I'm out. And all I want from you is 2 words as to why. And then you're free to go at any moment. And at any moment, the way to know that you're out is that you're either, I'm a hell yes for what's next, or I'm a maybe, or I'm a no, or I'm a hell no. All that's no. And then you're out. Now, you can come back at any time, too, and say, I've changed my mind. I want to be a hell yes. I want back in. And he would catch you up and plug you back into the workshop. So the first thing he said is, we're going to take off all of our clothes. We're going to roll around in a human soup in coconut oil mixed with playa dust and apple cider vinegar in order to neutralize the playa dust, because playa dust is like battery acid, and the apple cider vinegar neutralizes it. And then we're going to get it all over our bodies by rolling around on each other. And then once we get completely caked in it, we're going to take yellow and red pigment. I think we had white too, and adorn ourselves as if we are playa indigenous creatures of some kind. And then you're going to, as a group, go walk from here all the way to Dr. Bronner's, and he's going to give us these special passes so we can skip into the front of the line. And you're going to go through Dr. Bronner's, wash it all off, and your clothes will be waiting for you there in a bag with your name on it. Well, about 15 people said 2 words each and walked off. Another 6 kind of heard this from a distance and came running in. I'm a hell yes, I want to do this. So we went from 45 or something to 30 up to 36. I knew immediately I'm in for the whole thing. I had a hell yes experience that was amazing. It went from the top of my head all the way down my spine into the ground, and I was like, whatever he friggin' says, I'm a hell yes. I'm doing it. The whole thing.
Wow.
So eventually it dwindles down to 12 people. And then David says, you know, the effort it takes to bag up all your clothes and drive all your clothes to Dr. Bronner's, 12 people, you guys could just go out on the playa for a little while, come back, and then shower off here. Well, by that time, the 12 diminishes to only 4 people. Me and 3 others want to go out onto the playa, and one of the 4 wants to go shower first and put his clothes on. So there's only 3 of us that are now indigenous people who go all the way out into Burning Man completely naked, covered. I have like red horns in my hair. You can't recognize me, and I'm just covered in paint. And so are these other 2. We ride all the way out to this pyramid structure. We come all the way back. We shower off. We get our clothing. Now, the point isn't anything about being naked or dressed up as an imaginary indigenous playa people. It was an amazing day, out of this world. No drugs involved at all. No substances. Just be clear. Okay. Totally sober, healthy choices made each step of the way. But each step of the way, I knew from the moment in the beginning, wow, when I experience a hell yes, it's probably not going to change. It might, but I kind of knew I'm in for the whole ride. Other people kind of went in and out. And the bond that was formed between me, Willie, and I think her name was, it started with a D. I think it
Why don't you
was,
move to that corner so they'll be together, you think?
yeah, you're still cutting in and out. Um, and in any case, the 3 of us bonded so strongly, not only in our journey and our experience and everything else, but in our hell yes. We really, all 3 of us knew we had the same level, the same kind of vibrational hell yes for this experience, and we shared it from beginning all the way to the end. So, how do you discover what this hell yes is? I hope my story helps you kind of register the power of the hell yes. And it's perfectly fine to be a no or a maybe, and a maybe is a no, or a hell no. From the very beginning, there were people that were like, I'm a hell no for this. I'm not doing this. This is the craziest thing I've ever heard at Burning Man. And so they were out. Some people are a hell yes for having a baby, and some people are a maybe. I would suggest that if you're a maybe for having the baby, wait until you're a hell yes. That's a pretty big decision in life. And I think if you look at your life, look in the past, some things you knew, I was a hell yes for going to the college that I chose, or I was just kind of a maybe, and maybe I would have been better off waiting until I was a hell yes and picked a different school. You can kind of evaluate where in your life did you not embrace the hell yes and you just went for the, well, I'm confused, I don't know, I'll just accept this. And when you were hell yeses for things, what manifested from that? And when you were a maybe or a no or a hell no, and you went ahead and did it anyway, what occurred? In my life, I look at relationships, and there are relationships that I was not a full yes, a full hell yes for. And I sacrificed because I was like, oh, this is good. And it usually ended up biting me in the butt. Rather
Yeah, I
than,
think, can you hear me now, Timothy?
yeah, we can hear you now. Jump in.
Yay. So I love that story and I love the topic we're talking about today. And I have a hell yes for getting on this call. So I drove from where I was at where the Wi-Fi wasn't working to a friend's house, willing to go to any lengths for you guys. And I should have just stayed here. I was here earlier. It's kind of funny. But the hell yes and I want to get to, and we're not going to talk about it yet, but what happens when you're living in what Timothy just talked about, a relationship that wasn't a hell yes, maybe it's a hell maybe, this thing that's a hell maybe, and what it does to your, that to me. But I have a story about a hell yes that might help. I had like a major hell yes, and I had a hell yes with people like me that kind of might doubt themselves or have a hard time making decisions in, even if it's not that full body experience. Like, so is that good? I couldn't hear everything. Is that fine?
You were
Sharing
cutting,
now? Good timing.
you were cutting in it. You're cutting in and out a little bit, but I was grasping most of it. So I think keep going.
Okay.
Now you're
Darn.
frozen.
Oh, shit. Oh, gosh. Timothy, I'll go to another spot. Just talk for.
Okay. And then I
I'm
did
putting
let
you on
people
the
know
spot
you were
today.
I did let people know you were monitoring the Facebook chat, and I've been kind of monitoring this one, and I can see we've got some more people that came in. Thank you, Gauri, Gabriella, Devi, Dasi, for kind of understanding the Burning Man phenomenon in the story. Yeah, Heidi was talking about, and I'll save that for her. Like,
So weird.
what do you do when you're an indecisive person? Um, and it's hard to really get a read on whether you're a hell yes or a no or a maybe. And when you're in indecision, it's difficult to fully know what to do. And so sometimes I think in this particular case, we have to, because sometimes there's a time crunch and we have to just go, well, I'm going to go ahead and sign up for that class and do it. And I'll figure out if I'm a hell yes later. And that was David's point when he was nicely letting us know you can come out or in at any time. See, so if I'm a maybe and I'm curious, maybe I linger and I wait and I wait, and then all of a sudden I'm a no now. He just asked us to roll around with other people naked in dirt. I'm not doing that. I don't like to roll around in dirt. I'm out. Someone else goes, well, why don't I like to roll around in dirt? Or what is my issue around nudity? I'm not too sure. I'm okay. I guess I'm going to wait. And they wait and wait. And finally, people start doing it. And then something in them goes, I want to do it. So they jump in. They're a hell yes. Or I'm a no. And in this case, this is just like a metaphor for life. You can in life go, I'm a no, but is it okay if I stand here and watch and wait until I'm a full no? And so you kind of get to be fully into something or on the sidelines or fully out. And you get to keep modifying your choice as you go along. Now, some things in life occur where we don't get to choose. And that might be cancer, or that might, well, some people would say we do choose, but let's just stay with kind of science. Um, cells just go mutant in your body for some reason or another. I had cancer, and then you're on for a ride. What you do get to decide is, still can't hear you, is are you a hell yes for the ride or are you resisting the ride? If your dog dies or passes, transitions over, I don't like to use the word dies, that sounds like permanent, but transitions over into another form, then you're dealing with grief and loss. You get to, I'm a hell yes for dealing with my grief and loss, or I'm a hell no and I'm going to resist it, and then the consequences of that. So life gives us these opportunities to jump in. Up, I think I hear you.
Yep.
No,
Could you hear me?
now I can
No?
hear you.
Oh my gosh, this
That,
is so crazy today. Is it good now?
now I think it's good, but let's not challenge the universe. Let's just see if this is a hell yes or not. Keep going.
I'm a hell yes inside, but my computer and the Wi-Fi doesn't. Maybe you guys don't want to hear me today. Timothy's doing great. So I wanted to share a
Oh, well, you know what? You
story
know what
that,
happened was the universe didn't want you to be on the call until you had a blue background that matched your blue shirt. And now the lighting and everything is perfect. So here we go. Heidi Love.
Heidi Love. You're here with Heidi Love on the big island of Hawaii where Wi-Fi gets messed up. So I moved to the Bay Area, California from Phoenix, Arizona. And it was at the bottom of my drinking. Some of you guys know that have been on the call that I am a recovered alcoholic. So I sold a spa. I moved my kids. I moved to the Bay Area. I was with a man that I was with since I was 17 years old. And we were going to have a divorce, and I was going to be a single mom. So I was looking for a space to work in, to live in, and to be in. And I found this beautiful two-story, it was an old firehouse, so there was two-story windows, the ceilings were huge, it made my energy feel expansive. It was right downtown Sausalito, and it was way over my budget. So I would go sit in that space and I would envision, okay, I could have my workroom here where I could see my clients when they came in. It looked like a lobby and they couldn't see where we lived. And I could have both my kids there and be working when they came home from school. Like it was the most perfect setup. And I think at that time the rent was like $28.50 a month, and now it's $4,500 or some crazy thing. But that was big. It was big, and I was going to be on my own by myself, and so I had such a yes. I would sit in that space. I mean, I doubted it. I did the numbers. My intellectual part of me was a no. The intellectual part was like, this doesn't add up, Heidi. But inside myself, when I was in that space, I just wanted to open my hands. My creativity lit up. All the vision that I had came about. I felt alive and creative. And I felt that yes, that part of me that was expansive, not contracted. And so I filled out the application, took a risk, and the landlord was kind of looking at my stuff. It's not all that stable. I had just moved there, right? I'm self-employed. I'm not the best looking on paper in that regard. And my ex-husband called them and said, "You should not rent to her. She's an alcoholic. She'll never pay the rent," which is kind of funny because I was an overly responsible alcoholic. I always did pay my rent. But he called and tried to sabotage me even going there. And the landlord, who later became my friend, took a chance on me and took a chance on me because he was a practicing alcoholic. So I think it's kind of funny that he had compassion, and it probably pissed him off that my husband called him. So he might have helped me rather than hurt me. But I got in that space and I never struggled once. We had more laughter in that house, more fun in that house. It was the funnest time with my girls and I. My clients loved it. More healing happened in that house. I had tantra retreats in that house. Like we had the most amazing, beautiful experience. And I was surrounded in beauty and expansion the whole time I was there. And it was amazing. So I guess what I want to share with that story is sometimes we have an intellectual doubt, and those of us that are afraid to make a wrong decision, we may go through the ringer in our brain, but there's still that part of us that won't shut up, that we have to listen to. And when we do, it flows, even when it doesn't seem practical. And those times I've taken those risks, I've been rewarded.
Yeah, I call what you're describing, oh, I spelled something wrong. Faith in divine guidance. It's like,
Yeah.
it's not only the hell yes, but it goes against what your mind and maybe even other people are telling you, but you just know, deep knowing, this is a hell yes that I must follow and respect. And then, just like Heidi said, it all works out, totally baffling the ego and the mind and logic. Um, this house that I'm in, We call it the Temple Awawakawa on the island of Maui. And Tomoko, my nesting partner, she saw it on Facebook. It was out of our price range. And she said, this is where we're going. This is the temple where I had a vision. This is it. And my masculine mind went to, how do I figure this out? How can we pay for this? I want to make this happen. How do we do it? And my logic was like, don't do it. You can't afford it. You're not going to be able, you're going to get stuck. You're not going to be able to pay it. You're going to spend all your money on this. And we visited the house, and I meditated on it. I did everything right. I told the people, hey, let us think about it. We'll get back to you in 24 hours. I meditated on it, and I knew we're supposed to do it. It's a hell yes. It's divine guidance. And everything in me was like, no, it's wrong. My grumpy grandpa, he's a really powerful dude, comes in there, is like, there's not going to be enough money. And I knew, nope, Tomoko's right. We're doing it. And we did it. And we've paid rent every month. It's not been a problem. Everything's working out. We have people who come from the mainland and visit and stay in the temple and have an amazing experience. It's a good thing. And we've run a lot of workshops, some of which have been Tantra here at the house.
That's so great. I think one of the things that gets in the way of trusting that is judgment, right? It's too fast. It costs too much. It's not the right thing to do. This, if you guys relate to having those kind of judgments when you really want to do something and then you're quickly judging yourself or thinking about what other people will say.
Someone said, my art is like that. Once I get what I'm creating, it falls together and fast and perfect. And then in response to what you were just talking about, Shira says, fear and not trusting. I would agree. Not only is it judgments, but what will happen? That was my grumpy grandpa. If I do this, right? And that's the opposite of, I'm going to trust this and just trust it'll all work out. I have a friend who started a tea company, and the way he started it was he was driving and he saw a bumper sticker on a van that said, follow me. He heard divine guidance, follow the van. He followed the van for like a long time, 2-hour drive or something. Finally, the van goes straight and he hears turn left, pull into this parking lot, go into this warehouse. He does everything. He walks in. He goes, what's in here? Oh, we're a tea company. We're for sale. You want to buy it? How much is it? $20,000 or something they needed to get out of it. Yeah, I'll buy it, because he hears buy it. He ends up, this is his life's work now. All of that from just intuition, just to share a powerful version.
Yeah, that's amazing. So,
yeah, Shira
Timothy,
says, a hell yes is felt in our bone marrow. You're kind of cutting in and out. So Shira said, a hell yes is felt in our bone marrow. And for me, it's felt like down my spinal cord. Same kind of analogy. It's felt deep in my soma.
Yeah. I'm wondering if you ever had the experience of someone else having a hell yes for you, believing in a dream, investing in you somehow, giving you cheerleading on something where they were like, hell yes.
Yeah, and I went against my discernment. So we're adding another component now. If we add awareness, the highest self, not even Timothy, not even personality, just awareness, pure awareness. Awareness can often tell us to pause, and even though we might be a hell yes for something, to really examine and look at it. And I don't mean to stall or get indecisive, but there was a time in my life where I was a hell yes for something, but the mother of my kids was not a hell yes. And if I'd asked some of the other people that I thought were hell yeses, they would have said no. And that was for starting an emotional growth boarding school in Western Montana, which, no regrets, allowed me to have the life I have today. However, had I used awareness, even though I knew it was a hell yes, and I knew the school needed to exist, and I knew that it needed to do all the great work that it did, and unfortunately, It hasn't always been a perfect place, and it's definitely, in some people's opinion, caused harm. Um, it became the most expensive lesson of my life monetarily. I had a partner who was not, in my opinion, my perspective, fully honest, and used the school to benefit himself at times. And that was to the detriment of me, other shareholders, and to the students and the parents and population. And I'm not going to go into the courtroom or try to do anything with this. But it was an expensive lesson in learning to not only go with my hell yes, but to rely on my loved ones and their sense, their feeling of hell yes, and to listen and talk about it and take the time. It doesn't mean that maybe I'm going to go ahead and buy the tea factory, even though everybody tells me no, because I'm just really clear. And with this project, I probably would have done it anyway. I felt pretty clear inside. So that would be a time where I did have some people, my partner and a few others, saying, "Yeah, let's do this." And I've had a vision, and let's do it. And it felt in line to me. So this isn't a perfect process. Um, and yet, if I reflect back, there was a part of me that knew this man's not trustworthy. Hell yes to this project. Hell yes to this vision. Hell yes to all the rest of the people involved. But this man's not trustworthy. I'm a hell yes for who he is right now today, but there's something in him that I'm not. And if I'd really, really spent the time to listen to that, I would have gone, that's not a full hell yes. But he
Here's an
had,
interesting here's an interesting topic I want to bring up that goes with this, Timothy, and just ponder it out loud with you because I don't have a conclusion around it, but it's something that I've argued with people. And I wrote in our intro or whatever the call is going to be about today, taking the path of least resistance. And to me, that means flow, and that means ease, and it means going towards a well lit path. And for myself, that is the hell yes. And I don't always know what my hell yes is, but I know what my hell no is by looking at this thing. So I one of the people I argued with was a business person around marketing or
let me
whatever.
let me jump in
Yeah.
just for 1 second on that, and then we're
Yeah.
going to come right back to marketing. You're describing, like, here I am. I've got my partner. He says, "You're the man to do this school." Gives me his vision. I meditate on it. I'm like, I'm a hell yes for this. But as we start working towards creating it, the thing that you're talking about stops happening. The flow, the ease. Things are difficult. I don't know enough about business. I don't feel comfortable. My gut's flipping. That's the stuff to listen to. That's like, I had a destination, I set out in my boat, and all of a sudden the wind dies, the sails rip, and it's not working real easily. But I fix the sails, the wind comes back, it starts moving again. It's not easeful. Heidi's giving us a really great secondary thing. I'm a hell yes for something, and all of a sudden it's taking a lot of work. It's not flowing. The universe may not want you to do that. Take a pause, slow down, and readdress and ask your team, like I was saying earlier, what do they think? Okay, come back to the marketing.
Okay, so it has been my spiritual experience that when I keep knocking at a door or trying to bang it down or hammer it down or use a lot of force to make something happen, I can make it happen. I can manifest it, but it's exhausting. It's life depleting. It drains me, and it causes a lot of chaos in my life, or being mostly draining. And so for me, the when I've taken the direction from the universe and I keep getting closed door after closed door, I let go and I find the path of least resistance. I find the open door. I find a flow, and life becomes easier again. And I've been in that experience the last 2 years, just really trying to focus, trying to narrow things down, trying to make things the way that I thought they should be. And it's door after door after door, shut, 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 shut. And it's painful. And then surrendering to that. So the act of surrendering, I know you guys have probably had that experience. When you let go, things can flow. might flow in a totally different direction. And I think that that part of us that wants to make something happen is that a part of us that's attached to a certain outcome or a certain way that it should happen. And it's been my experience that when you go for the feelings or the end result that you would want, like what would you gain if you got this thing, this work path or this relationship path, and allow the universe to create the flow and follow it, you can have what you want. It just doesn't always come in the form that you wished it did, or from the people you wished it did, or from the job you wished it did. And that's something that I learn over and over again. And again,
Well, and
it's trusting, you know?
that's the beauty, right? That's the mystery of life. If we stay out of the future and out of the present and we just watch what occurs, it's amazing. And Heidi's not saying that if you wanted to go on a boat ride and a boat comes and lands at the dock in front of you and you are in the past and the future, so you're like, well, I don't know if that's the right boat, so I'm not going to get in it. And then another one comes and another one comes, and pretty soon you're like, there are no boats for me to get on. It's like, there've been 3 in the last hour. You just haven't asked. And so you do have to initiate. You do have to do something. Shira points out, like, sometimes we set our course, we ask our team, everybody's on board, it's a hell yes, and then an obstacle occurs. Well, Heidi's not saying that you stop going for your goal because an obstacle occurs. But what she's talking about is when obstacles just keep happening, and you're getting drained and depleted, you may want to examine the goal. And are you still a hell yes for it? Because maybe the universe is actually saying, hey, look over here and move in a different direction. And all of a sudden things start getting easier. But Heidi's not saying the minute you have a challenge or an obstacle, quit, right? She's a coach. She helps people get through obstacles. And so sometimes that, the caller points it out, Shira, sometimes it's a double-edged sword, like following flow. So we have to be careful that we don't just quit on everything that we go after. And at the same time, there are, I agree, times where we're pursuing things that we don't really, if we sink down and feel into it, we're not a hell yes for. So we come back to the process of hell yes, discernment, ask our team, move forward. Is it in flow? Is it happening relatively easily? Meaning an obstacle comes and we enlist other people, and all of a sudden the obstacle is a course correction. It's a great thing. That's great.
I think that
And
it's really great what you brought up.
Lastly was this word surrender that Heidi brought up. And when we come into surrender, it is that state of, hey, I want to go on a boat ride. I surrender it to the universe. But when the boat shows up, get on the boat.
The thing that Cher brought up is what I have argued with people about, and I'm not arguing with you. I'm so glad you brought it up because it's the exact point that I argue about in my own mind. So I'm not arguing for one way or the other. There's a part of me that's watched, like, you hear book authors, they get turned down, like Harry Potter, the person that wrote Harry Potter. She got turned down so much, and had she given up, she wouldn't have ever published those. And she's one of the biggest, selling authors in all over. And so I admire that kind of tenacity. And this was the argument I was having with somebody in the business community, and we were talking about marketing. And I said, it's not flowing. I get door shut after door shut. And they said, well, they brought up that movie stars, actors, authors, these people, had they given up, they had such a hell yes inside. They had to get their work out there and they were unstoppable. That just hasn't been my spiritual experience. I have not been that way. I will change course before I'll jackhammer through a lava tube, and there's no right or wrong. I'm not advocating that you're right or wrong. I have so much admiration for people that do that. Did it make their life easier? I don't know. Did it make them happy in the long run? I don't know. Had they followed a different flow, would it have been just as great or better? I don't know. I don't know the answers to those questions, but I'm glad you brought it up because that's exactly what I was talking about.
You're talking about dancing, and everybody, when you're doing free form dance, not the tango, but even the tango, everybody's going to do the tango a little differently. When free form dance, everybody looks very different. Some people kind of move in a similar pattern to other people, but everybody's got their own way of doing the tango or the one way of dancing. And I do think, Jim Carrey talks about putting the check in his wallet for $10 million or whatever, and eventually someday he gets it for working as an actor. And he just knows this is his course. He's a hell yes. He's going to do whatever it takes to get there. No mistake is a mistake. No obstacle is an obstacle. He just keeps going and going and going. Beautiful. And there are those of us that navigate through life in more like, I don't really know what I want to do. I just kind of do what's at hand and move through it. And there's no right or wrong. But if we're listening deeply in and following intuition, following our hell yes, course correcting as we go, we are navigating life. And for me, life is about learning to be with our highest self. And in that highest expression of itself, it's not so much about the occupation or the job. Now, some people find an occupation that's totally in alignment with their expression of self. Beautiful. But some people, their expression of self is the homeless person under the bridge that says hello to you every day that you pass and never asks you for a dime and has this beautiful expression. There is nothing wrong with that expression. And that person may be truly following their hell yes. My judgment of a homeless person is less important than Jim Carrey is a judgment. Both humans have the same intrinsic value in their humanness.
So let's talk a little bit, Timothy, about the part of when we're not living in our hell yes, when we're living in a hell maybe or a flat out no, and we stay in it out of obligation, guilt, thinking we don't have another choice. What happens to our soul? What happens to our being? And I can share this experience. When I am living not in my full passion or full hell yes, I have people from the outside, from my kids, my friends, people that don't even know me well, that maybe see me online, they'll message me and be like, "Are you okay? What's going on with you? You look different." I mean, your light goes out. That's one thing that can happen. Your light gets dim, your radiance gets dim, you feel heavy. And that's just one physical thing that always blew me away, that people saw it in me when that was happening. And they see
I
it in
think
me when it changes.
you're so blessed to have such a good team. You've got like uh, people in the radar tower looking out for you that call you and say, "Hey, your ship's looking a little off course there. What are you doing?" And people who are saying, I mean, not only that they care and love you, but that they really want you to be in your highest, greatest self. And so, what a great thing that you've got family and friends and people around you to help you do that. I think of what you're saying in relationship. For the longest time, relationship for me was find somebody that you love and then twist and turn and contort yourself like a pretzel into the shape that makes them happy. That was kind of what I learned to do as a kid with my mom. And I would do that with people. And when you're in the NRE, the new relationship energy, it's easy. You're like dough. Woo! You just twist around like a chorizo over and over, a pretzel. And then as the NRE starts to loosen, it becomes baked and hard. And I don't know if you put yourself into a pretzel, but it's not very comfortable. And then I get to a point where my old self would blame the person, blame my mom, blame the person I was in relationship with, and then act out, break the pretzel apart, and be a crazy person, hurting myself, hurting them, until I learned, wow, it's a lot easier to just be true to yourself, only do things that you're a hell yes for, and be super honest and let your partner choose. No more deception to myself and the other, no more coercion, no more manipulation, just full honesty, full disclosure. My nesting partner, Tomoko, and I, it's like some of the best communication ever, super honest. Does she fulfill all my needs? No. Do I fulfill her all her needs? No. Do I try to fulfill the needs that I don't want to or can't fulfill? No. So it's more of an interdependent relationship, less codependent. I didn't use those words, but that's what I was describing. So yeah,
So
what
Kelly
else?
says, ding, ding, ding
What else
in the
happens?
comments.
Heidi's describing that sense of like getting depressed. I get that. Angry. at the other person, being a victim, blaming everything on them, um, over exerting myself and taking control of people's lives because I think I know best. I mean, ask yourself, where do you go when you're really off course and you're not living a hell yes life, a life in flow? You're in a life where you're unhappy. You know, what are the reasons? It's a good question. And if you want
I
to put
think
something
some
in the
of the
chat box, go
reasons
ahead.
that I have found in, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you able to hear me? Yeah. Okay. So I think some of the reasons in counseling people over the last 20 years that I find come up in front of this is that they get attached to who's going to give it. So let's say in a relationship, right? And I'm guilty of this, right? I'm not preaching at you. We want something from our parent. We want them to show up a certain way, or we want something from our lover. And so we do what Timothy said, we get mad if they're not giving it to us. And so the thing that I find, and this isn't only in relationship, this can also be in work. So let's say you have a job and you have certain things you want in a job. You want a harmonious environment. You want people that are coherent to work with. You want some laughter at work. You want some creative liberty. And instead of quitting a job that gives you none of that, you're just mad you don't have it there. So there's the same thing that can happen in a relationship. So what I find is that one of the biggest obstacles to living into this hell yes is that what you want a hell yes for sometimes requires letting go of what's a hell no. And everything gets in the way with that. Fear, doubt, insecurity, uh, judgment, can I not, the unknown, all of these things get in the way. And I have found that when I'm able to let go of things, when I let go of alcoholism, when I've let go of past relationships, I did not want to let go. I was terrified. I hang on tooth and nail. I'm not an easy quitter. And when I let go, it opened up space for what I wanted. And after I let go, something new and different and closer of what I wanted or exactly what I wanted came. So sometimes not letting go of what you don't want keeps you from having what you want, keeps you from the hell yes. Not letting go of the hell no keeps you from having the hell yes.
You're, you know, if we go to the other side of that or another aspect of that, for me, it's often been also, I don't want to let go because if I let go, I am fill in the blank. And it was usually disloyal, dishonest. I'm not honoring my
Failure.
commitments. I'm a failure. I'm a bad dad. I'm a bad husband. I'm a bad partner. I said this, and if I do that, then I'm a liar. This whole idea that we can't change or can't grow, that a lot of us, at least I'll raise my hand, I get locked into as a man. It's like, I got to be the same thing I said I was Friday for the rest of my life, even if my arms are bleeding, right? I have to keep doing this job or this thing or be in this relationship. So sometimes shame, guilt, a sense of pride can get in our way of truly coming back to listening, deciding what the hell yes is, and then making the adjustments required. You know, my art teacher at the school, Callie, she said, Timothy, show up, speak your truth, do what's required, and let go of the outcome. And often for me, the hard part was, oh, I was attached to this outcome. Now, if I show up, I tell my truth, and I do what required, it means letting go of, as Heidi said, that old outcome and readjusting. And some people may get mad. And if you're a people pleaser, I'm raising both of every hand I have on my body. If you're a people pleaser, it's really hard to course correct. It's really hard to adjust because your focus is making sure everybody else is happy.
Yeah. Yeah. So, who has had a hard time letting go of something they didn't want to make space for something they did want? Just say yes in the chat box. And I want to appreciate all of you guys for being on the call, Kelly and Gary, Shara. Can't see everybody that's here, but we just appreciate your interaction and thank you so much for chatting with us. And if you have any questions, hi Karen and Chantel. um, let's see if we got some yeses in the Me for sure. Yes. I've got some yeses in the chat box. So it's hard. It's hard to trust the universe enough. And then what all those unconscious things can come out. I was thinking like sometimes when I have a hell yes and it's going to bring so much joy or success or excitement, I feel like, do I deserve that? Can I sustain it? You know, is it okay for me to have that kind of joy? And those are questions that come up. Like, is it, yeah. I remember a lady shared with me one time. I used to feel guilty about sharing amazing things going on in my life. And especially if someone was in pain, right? I don't want to share like, oh, I haven't won the lottery, but hey, I just won the lottery and she just had a car accident or something. And so, but a lady shared with me, the brighter your light, the more it illuminates other people and allows them to share joy too. And there's a beautiful reading. I wish I had it by Marianne Williamson. I'm going to see if I can find it. Can you talk for a second, Timothy? Because
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
it's really pertinent right now.
yeah. I just wanted to express that sometimes when we're in those situations where we're pleasing other people and we're afraid of letting go of a situation, and then there's fear of, am I going to find anything better? And we have this divine guidance or this intuition. It's like, yep, you need to go and do this. It's okay to go slow, to be thorough most of the time, methodical about that course adjustment, because we do want to be compassionate and kind and take our time to manage the hearts and the breakup and the after effects of change. And at the same time, sometimes the boat's coming to the dock and it's leaving, and there isn't really time to manage all the um, adjustments or all the things that might occur in you making that leap, and you just need to do it. However, once you're on the boat and you're going, usually there's still a way to communicate with other people and work on repair and mitigating the change. Um, I don't believe that I'm responsible for how Heidi feels when I forget to do the dishes, and I told her I'd do the dishes when I left for work that day. I'm not responsible for how she feels, but I am responsible for the fact that I didn't do the dishes. And I can make up for it by saying, hey, look, I'm going to do them now. And I hear that it really upset you and it made you really, really angry, Heidi. But I'm not taking responsibility for how she feels because I didn't do the dishes. And I used to do
Yeah.
that kind of thing. I used to take that personally. And at the same time, I'm not going to the other extreme where it's like, oh, this is your shit, your feelings, sorry, I didn't do the dishes, whatever. I'm actually going to slow
Yeah.
down and go, oh, I hear that you're frustrated. I hear that you're angry. And I'm going to work at repair. So when we make huge course changes, or little ones even, by letting go of something that we said we wanted and moving towards something new, it tends to affect our business partners, our family members, our loved ones, our friends, people who are interested in us. And so it is important that we do that with compassion and care. Did you find it?
Yeah. So I found the thing by Marianne Williamson. Yes. So I'm going to read it. I think this is so beautiful. And probably some of you have heard this, and it's always great to hear again. So, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of the divine that is within us. It is not just some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, unconsciously we give other people permission to do the same. We are liberated from our own fear. Our presence automatically liberates others. Love that.
Let's just let that sink in a minute. Oh. I noticed the time, and we may want to close with that because I'm
I think
about to move
so.
into that, and that's. I think this ought to be our
Mhm.
next week. I think we ought to pick up with that quote and really
All
dive
right, let's
into.
read it in the beginning and go with it.
Great. So now you know, people, what we're going to work on next week or talk about next week, which is what is it that truly limits us? And I humbly will include myself in that discussion. So
Yeah, so join us next Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And again, thank you all for being on the talk, and sorry for the technical difficulties. And thank you, Timothy, for holding space for that and just being solid and being here. I really appreciate it. I know it's not easy talking by yourself,
it
a
was a
one-way
really
conversation.
It was a really lovely energy today. I enjoyed this talk very much. I hope lots of people watch it, and I know a lot of you will watch it after it's not live. Please feel free to share it on your social media platforms. Heidi and I don't do this just for ourselves. We would really like to, especially during times where people have been isolating themselves, and some people still are, that we're offering something that can lighten someone's load or at least give them an avenue to feel connected with other like-minded people. And so please share it.
Yeah, so we have value your sparkle. Thank you, Kelly. And I love this comment. This hour always goes by so fast. Thank you, love being here. And thank you for that feedback. It always blesses our heart to know what you got out of the call. You can comment that or just those precious comments. We really appreciate it. And if you're a hell yes for transforming in your life, for doing some work, call Timothy or I. We're happy to talk with you guys. Take care.